Right. Hey guys, we're going to do a orientation to the shop with a special focus on safety. So watch the video. If you have questions, make sure you follow up with myself and Mr. O. Before you go in, first thing we got to do is put on eyewear. You should bring your own eyewear, but if not, this bin is for clean glasses. There's wipes on top. Make sure that you give them an extra wipe before you put them on. And when you're done with them, we'll show you where the old glasses go. Now you'll notice when you come in here first, there's a gigantic pile of stuff in front of the garage door. That is going to go away because all of this is a hazard. Having an organized shop is very important. We don't want these things to be in the way, so they're coming out. If you look at the work safety surfaces we have here, they're very clear. This is how these tables should look every time we leave class. So whatever it is that you're working on, one of your tasks is going to be to keep it organized. We're going to give you guys bins, so if you have any building materials that you work with, you can put it all in a bin with your name on it, store it, and pick up where you left off last time. Tools, of course, we're going to go back away and we'll show you where all the tools are as we go all the way around.
Well, let's go over and show them the safety glasses.
Oh, there's the used safety glasses going to here. Please do not wear safety glasses out of this bin. However, if there are none available and you need to clean one, again, you can take one out, give it a really good wipe, and clean it off. There's the fire extinguisher right here, and there's another one in the other room. So actually, why don't we stick with safety equipment while we're on it. In this corner of the room, we keep our first aid kits. So hopefully we never need it, but if in case you do, there's a first aid kit here. There's more first aid materials up in this cabinet, which is also labeled. If, despite wearing your safety glasses, you have an issue with your eye, we have an eye wash station here. You just pull it down, and I'm not going to do it because it'll squirt water all over, but if you pull it down, it'll start squirting water up. Make sure you put your face in there and really flush out your eyes. We also have an eye wash station in the Design and Fab Lab. This sink and that sink can both be used to wash hands, but I want to point out this hand cleaner. This is not normal soap. This is pumice hand cleaner. It's really good for getting grease off of your hands. So if you're working with something that's oily or greasy and you're trying to get that off your hands, come over and use this station. Otherwise, you can use normal hand washing soap or dishwashing soap that we have in that station.
Yeah, that container you see right there next to the paper towels is regular soap.
So the cabinets on this side of the room, for the most part, you won't need to access. This is where we keep random tools and things that we don't need that often. However, we do have a backup hardware cabinet. This is where we keep all different kinds of screws and bolts. So if you're working with something and you need a specific size screw or a specific size nail, one of your first tasks should be to come back here and see what we have. We already have quite a stock of screws, bolts, nuts available. Drawers over here do have things like tape and zip ties. We try to mark things and label them as much as we can. So again, if you're trying to find something, make your way around the room, look for the labels. And, if there is a label, there's something in there. If there's not a label, it's probably because it's empty. We're still getting moved into the space. So let's walk over and take a look at our big toolboxes. The main toolbox that you'll find yourself using is this one. Again, every drawer is labeled, which means if you take something out of a drawer, it goes back into that drawer. Tools are organized in these drawers. So as you take something out, make sure you put it back in the right spot. If you're borrowing a wrench, put it into the right sleeve so that the next person that goes to get it knows exactly where it is. On that note, we understand that no matter what tool you're using, you're going to have to be touching it. You're going to be touching it with your hand. You should always be washing your hand and sanitize your hand upon coming into the room. You cannot wear rubber gloves when you're using tools. It's not really safe because the rubber will slide off of your hand and stick to the tool and lose your grip on it. So you're washing your hands before touching any of the tools.
And it would also be helpful too if every once in a while you're in here, there's hand sanitizer over by that door. Just every once in a while, you go over and hand sanitize your hands.
Any of our cordless drills you can find up top with batteries and charging station. If you're done using a drill, make sure that your battery goes back on the charging station. If they're all full and you have an extra battery, take one that's full off, put your empty battery on. But always make sure the batteries are being charged so that the next person comes in, they're ready to go. There's more tools in this cart, although you probably won't need anything in here. This is mostly for special fittings and things for the robot. But if there's a time that you're working with pneumatics in particular, you'll probably come over to this cart. Also, this is where we keep earwear. So if you need to use a tool that's going to be very noisy, you can grab a pair of these. We also have the little tiny styrofoam things that jam into your ear. Those are one-time use. Please don't put them back when you're done.
Also, too, if you're going to be cutting something that's going to need that much ear protection, make sure you announce it to the room. You protecting yourself doesn't necessarily help other people who are in the room. So you would want to yell "cutting metal," and then people would be able to know to put eyewear on or leave the room.
We're going to take a quick look at some of the tools in here. A lot of the other training videos will talk about specific tools and how to use them. One thing I want to point out, every tool has some kind of safety mechanism, whether that is a pin on the power button that gets unplugged so that you can't turn it on. This one is a safety pin in the front. A lot of the tools have emergency stops. Like our milling machine has an e-stop button. This is not a power button. This is for emergencies. So before you use any tool, you should know exactly where the power button is, exactly how to turn it on, exactly how to turn it off. Make sure too that you're not reaching across any moving part of the tool. So if I'm using this bandsaw, I'm not going to turn it off this way. I'm going to turn it off from over here where I'm away from any part that might be moving. That becomes a little bit more important with some of these bigger tools where you might physically be operating it over here. You don't want to reach across to get to the control panel.
That being said, as you're talking about reaching and things being caught, also make sure you're not wearing ties in this room or any kind of hoodie that has strings hanging from it. Also, you're not wearing, what are those shoes called that they wear, the slippers type shoes?
Slipper type shoes?
Yeah. Yeah, no slipper type shoes. You want to be wearing, I guess, shoes or sneakers or something like that. Very easy for a nail, if it's laying on the ground, to go right into your foot if you're wearing slippers.
While we're standing here, it's worth pointing out the different electrical cords we have in the ceiling. You'll notice these are different. This is a 110 volt line. This is a 220. So the profiles are different. You can't plug in this 220 volt tool into a 110 outlet. So just please be aware of what tool you're using. If you see the white plastic tip on the end, it's got to go to a cord with a white plastic tip. Otherwise, the standard outlets are fine. The big tools that we have in here that are on 220 are the table saw, the dust collector, and the bandsaw. So those are all tools that need to be on 220 volt outlets. This table saw has a lot of extra special safety features, which we'll talk about more in depth with its particular video. The one thing we want to point out right up front, this is absolutely not a work surface. So you should not be leaning on the surface. You should not be leaving tools on the surface. The oils in your hand can corrode the cast iron top. So anytime you see a shiny surface like this, please don't touch it. Please don't lean on it. It's okay for material to go across it. If you're cutting something, it is not okay for you to be putting your hands on it.
And that goes for the other side of the table right there, where the black part is. This should not be a storage or a work area.
So this should be able to slide freely, meaning if you put stuff down, it can't. So please don't use this as a table. That's not what it's for. Any of these tools where you see these cast iron tops, please don't touch them with your hand. Again, the oils in your hand will start to corrode them over time. All of these tools, we'll spend some time going into more detail about how to use them specifically. But if you have not gone through one of those trainings, if you have not talked to us, there's absolutely no reason they should ever be turned on. Any tool in this shop can do significant damage to somebody very easily. So you want to make sure that you know how to use it. We know that you're using it. People around you know that it's being turned on. That goes for things like the scroll saw, the table saw, miter saw, anything in here.
Do you want to take 2 seconds on each tool and tell them what it is and what it would be used for,
Sure.
so they have an idea on what is available to them?
So we have a small desktop drill press and we have a small desktop bandsaw. We also have a full-size drill press and a full-size bandsaw. This drill press is typically used for putting holes into pieces of metal. If you're going to be drilling the metal, it's really important to have it clamped down. So anytime you're working with any kind of material on most of these tools where the material is not supposed to move, clamp it down. We keep clamps right here at the edge of the toolbox. Bandsaw has a metal blade on it right now. So this is not for cutting wood. This is for cutting metal. You can tell by the tiny teeth how close they are together. So this would be for cutting small curves into thin pieces of aluminum sheeting. The milling machine, on the other hand, can be used for making precision holes, precision cuts onto thicker gauge material. So this uses end mills that can cut down but can also cut side to side. This has a really big vise on it, but this vise can be taken off and materially clamped directly to the bed as well. But it moves in the Y direction, the X direction, and the Z direction. So we can route long lines, we can cut patterns, and then has a digital readout, so it can be very precise, down to the 1/1000th of an inch. This drill press is a smart drill press. It's a direct drive drill press. So instead of having belts inside of it like this tabletop version, where you would change the belt in order to change the speed, the direct drive drill press has a computer inside that will tell it how fast to go based on what kind of bit you're using. So there's a menu on here. You'll select what it is that you're drilling through, what kind of bit you're using, and that'll help how fast to go. So I can go and select a depth, or I can select a bit, for example. I can say how big the bit is, what kind of material I'm going through, and then now it knows how fast to speed. So when I turn it on, it'll spin at the right RPM. Again, off and power down. The scroll saw is for cutting curves and intricate patterns, usually into thin, softer woods. So it is a very tiny omnidirectional blade, meaning I can move things forward or side to side. This is mostly used for more like decorative things, nothing really structural. But it could be used for cleaning up something if you're trying to route an edge. Our stand-up belt sander and disc sander is for cleaning up edges of material for the most part. So if you make a cut and you don't want to have a rough edge to it, we can take it over here. Very, very important with this tool is, again, to make sure you never have any loose clothing. Like I probably would not wear this sweatshirt just because those cuffs are a little loose. But you don't want any loose clothing near it. You really want to use this brake here as a leverage point, because as this sander is spinning, it's going to want to pull everything back. Putting material up front wants to get pulled out of my hand. Be very careful not to get things caught underneath. It's another place where you can really run into trouble.
There's two parts of this that spins. Well, there's this belt goes, and then there's this disc that spins. So I'm just going to turn it on real quick. You would not want your skin touching this or this while it's on. It will take off your skin.
Here we have our full-size bandsaw. This can do long rip cuts, rip meaning it goes down the length of a long board. Where you would use this is often when you have really thick material. So something that a blade on a table saw, for example, could not cut through. If I had a log that were, say, 12 inches thick and I wanted to cut it in half, I could fit it through and get a cut through the entire log. I couldn't do that on the table saw. So the bandsaw you probably won't be using very often, but that's one of the rationales for using it.
The blade on the table saw here only comes up about an inch, inch and a quarter, inch and a half, maybe something in that area.
So again, I can use this for rip cuts, which are long and straight, or for cross cuts when you're going, across a piece of material. Although we really would love to have a cross-cut sled to help make those cuts better.
So if you could see where if that was a lot thicker piece of wood, running it through a table saw, it would not be able to go all the way through it.
All right over here we have two saws that look very similar. This is a sliding miter saw. So this can make miter cuts at an angle. It can make straight cuts. It can also tilt and make bevel cuts. So if you're cutting a 2x4 and you need to cut the leg, this is the tool that you would most likely be using. This also has laser guides on it. I don't think it's plugged in right now, so I can't turn it on. But there are lasers that shoot out of here that kind of get you to line up. Although I would always double check with a backup motor.
And you can do compound miter cuts too, where it not only turned this way, it's also beveled that way too at the same time.
Now, over here we have a saw that looks very similar, but this is an abrasion saw. So you notice the wheel on here is just a high friction abrasive wheel. This would be for cutting things like steel. You can also use it for cutting like aluminum tubing, but you probably won't be using this very often in class. But if you do need to cut aluminum or metal, know that we can do that.
This would be an example of if you're using this tool to cut metal, you would definitely let everybody in the room know so that anybody in the room who's staying in the room could get ear protection on.
Those are all the major tools that we have in the shop as of yet. We're still populating with more. The number one thing that we want to make sure that you're aware of, though, when you're in here is don't be afraid to ask questions. There's always a right tool for the job. Using the right tool is going to have better output, better quality, and it's going to be safer. So if you're not sure about what to use, make sure you ask. Please do not use something that you're not sure how to operate, or use something for what it's not intended for. Like, you never use a wrench as a hammer. We have hammers. We have the right tool. Just ask. Second thing is, this is a place to show respect and reverence. There's no fooling around in here. There's no playing around. You'll find real quickly that you won't be asked to visit anymore if you can't respect the place. So, but that's your quick introduction to the shop. There's certainly a lot more to learn about it, and the things are inside. And, we'll see those in the follow-up technical control training video.